and welcome to the Official Watches YouTube channel. You join me here today in Jardin du Mayfair for a very special game of the 2-for-1 challenge. Now, I hope that you guys must know the rules by now, but for any new subscribers, welcome, welcome. We want to play a game. We'll show you 2 watches that make up the value of the big one, and you guys get to decide if you take the 2-for or the 1, okay? So I've got 2 Rolexes battling against one very special AP. So let's get started, and thank you for joining me here for the 2-for-1 challenge. Okay guys, before I get started, just a very quick one to say, please do hit that subscribe button. The channel is growing well, but up to 70% of you aren't subscribed. So please just hit that button. It would mean the world to me, and I'll keep these videos coming fresh and hot every week. So the 2-for-1 challenge, let's get started. First into the ring is an old fan favorite, and I do already have a video on it. So please check that out if you want to know more about this watch. It's the Rolex Cosmograph Daytona Zenith, and it's 16520 with a black dial. Now this one is the daddy of modern Daytonas. It's the first Daytona to sport a 40mm case, an automatic movement, a sapphire crystal and 100-meter water resistance, topped off with COSC certification. It was a complete redesign of the original 37mm manual Daytona and was effectively the blue touch paper that launched the Daytona into the stratosphere. And it was one of the world's most sought after watches. Now, prior to the Zenith, the Daytona was a rather unloved little weirdo in the Rolex range, but look how times have changed. Its nickname comes from the fact that the watch uses a heavily modified Zenith El Primero movement. El Primero meaning first, as it was the first automatic chronograph, period. It was and still is a legendary piece of engineering. The Zenith was in production for 12 years, from 1988 to 2000. That's late R to early P serial. Before Rolex updated the line with their in-house chronograph movement, and they added a 1 to the reference number to make 116520. They only have 5-digit reference numbers, and you can spot a Zenith because it has brushed lugs and longer, slimmer indexes. But more importantly, has its small seconds counter on the left at 9. In subsequent references, including the ceramics, the small seconds are placed at the bottom of the dial by 6. So remember, seconds at 9 equals Zenith. Legend, check. Tritium lume, check. Minimal stretch on the bracelet, check. Sharp case and gorgeous curves, check. And it's a full set, check. The price is £24,895. Now, next up is a total favourite of mine. So this finishes off the 2 part of the 2-for-1 challenge, and it's none other than the Rolex Submariner Date Kermit with the flat 4 bezel. I've always been obsessed with this watch. Released in 2003 to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Submariner, the 16610 LV, LV for Lunette Verte, green bezel, or Kermit as it's widely known, could be described as a bit of a sleeper hit. I say this because I am ancient enough to remember when they sat in AD windows with very little excitement. But then we had liftoff. These are identifiable due to their green bezels and oversized indices, which were eventually carried through to the 6-digit ceramic Submariners. It's the only 5-digit sub with maxi markers. Once Kermit became the next big thing of the watch world, the collectors were focused on a very specific variant, the quote-unquote flat 4, which was only found on Y and F serials. You can see that the 4 is more of a flattened trapezoid shape rather than the usual pointy 4 that sits on the aluminium sub bezel. Now, at their peak, flat fours were pulling in £25,000 and above. The watch world has fortunately dipped from the days of insane pricing, and this one, an F serial, is entering the ring as our second watch at £16,595. Now, of course, you could argue that the shape of a number on a bezel is insignificant or not worth the premium, and so on and so forth. But in the world of Rolex, and particularly with vintage and neo-vintage models, the little details really count. And it's the little details that appear utterly inconsequential that can make thousands of pounds worth of difference to a watch. It's one of the joys and great frustrations of watch collecting, and I absolutely love it. Now, with the exception of the bezel and the markers, the LV is the same beast as its black stablemate. It has a 300-metre water resistance, a 904L stainless steel case, hollow link oyster bracelet, and a date. It's really high on the wanted lists of collectors. So, my little chickens, a pair of two 5-digit Rolexes are going up against a bit of a beast. Again, there is a full episode on the channel for this watch, so if you want to see it in full, just check it out. But let me tell you about this piece. This is the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Offshore 26238ST. It's a chronograph, it's a sports watch, it's an Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Offshore. This is a particularly splendid example of the offshore, the bigger, beefier, do it all and do it anywhere of the Royal Oak. Now, first released in 1993, the offshore has been delighting fans and horrifying purists for over 30 years. Rumour had it that Genta was appalled when a 42mm sized behemoth was introduced with an oversized gasket, a price tag that doubled that of the standard Royal Oak, and sporting the first chronograph mechanism that the Royal Oak line had ever seen. It was developed to appeal to the appetites of the younger, sportier European market, and appeal it did. This is possibly the boldest of the current offshore range, which is delivered in a really striking baby blue with black and orange highlights as its colour scheme. And I tell you what, it's a colour scheme and a half, and it just works. Now, first released in 2021, this is an all-steel offshore measuring in 42mm with 15.2mm thick, and the lug-to-lug, including the end links, is 58mm. It's a chunky monkey, but that has always been the point. It sits incredibly well and comfortably thanks to the strap, which is flared to integrate to the case and tapers to 22mm at the buckle. The dial is the standout feature. It's the usual mega tapisserie, that's large squares, found in the offshore range, and finished in baby blue with a matching date wheel and black subdials featuring bright orange numerals with a similarly coloured chronographed hand. This thing is lethal. The contrast is striking, and the orange works so well against the black and pale blue. The strap is a significant upgrade from the AP rubbers of old. It looks like it's a bit textile, but up close and personal, it's very supple and very well defined in a rubber strap. This has been seamlessly moulded with a canvas sailcloth pattern. It also has the smart AP strap system, so yes, you can put it on an orange if you want to give it the big un on holiday. The baby blue is powered by AP's in-house flyback chronograph caliber, that's the 4404. This gives you 70 hours of power reserve and is a larger movement that matches the size of the offshore perfectly. Now, all in, this is an absolute belter of a watch from one of the watchmaking Holy Trinity brands. It's eye-catching and robust with brutalist architecture and fantastic hand finishing. It slaps an absolute smile on your face, and this one comes in at £40,895. So the big question is, do you love it more than a Daytona and a Submariner combined? Guys, I absolutely love playing this game with you, and I'm going to let you know the decision that I've made once we hit 20 comments. So you guys let me know which you'd go for, and then I'll tell you which I'd go for. It's a very tricky one, okay, because these two cover a lot of bases, okay, and this can't be a one-watch collection, or can it? Let me know what you think. I can't wait to see what you guys think.